Thorough Assessment and Parallel Analysis. Part 2. Theological Frameworks in Everett's and Pastor Ray's Critiques 1. Everett's Theological Perspective. A Call for Humility and Truth. Biblical Foundation. Everett leans on scriptures that emphasize accountability, such as Micah 6:8, to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. His critique of Christian television networks aligns with this principle, highlighting the dangers of pride and materialism within ministry. Challenge to idolatry. By critiquing the commercialization of ministry, Everett indirectly addresses the issue of idolatry, where leaders and institutions prioritize fame and wealth over genuine spiritual service. Focus on community integrity. Everett's calls for transparency and reform underscore his belief that the health of the Christian community depends on its leaders embodying humility and ethical behavior. 2. Pastor Ray's Theological Perspective. Confrontation with false authority. Scriptural anchors. Pastor Ray frequently cites scripture to condemn abusive leadership. For example, his invocation of 1 Peter 5:3, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock, rebukes the authoritarian control he attributes to Johnny Lamb. Prophetic voice against corruption. Pastor Ray positions himself as a modern-day John the Baptist, using fiery rhetoric to call out systemic abuse and demand justice for victims, the spirit of Athaliah. By comparing Johnny Lamb to Athaliah, a biblical queen who destroyed her own family for power, Pastor Ray highlights the destructive impact of unchecked ambition within religious institutions. Broader implications of their critiques. 1. Examination of institutional power. Both Everett and Pastor Ray question the centralization of power in Christian organizations like Daystar. They argue that the lack of accountability creates environments where abuse can thrive. Pastor Ray's critique extends further, highlighting the psychological impact on individuals raised in such environments, as seen in his analysis of Jonathan Lamb's struggles. 2. Financial exploitation of faith communities. Everett critiques the commercialization of ministry, pointing to lavish expenditures like private jets and luxury vacations funded by tax-free donations. He argues that such practices betray the trust of donors and misrepresent the values of Christianity. Pastor Ray's focus on the misuse of a $3.9 million PPP loan ties financial misconduct to broader questions of ethics and stewardship. He views such actions as symptomatic of a culture more concerned with appearances than with genuine service. 3. The role of media in perpetuating abuse. Everett discusses how Christian media networks have historically shielded leaders from scrutiny while projecting an image of moral authority. He critiques the narrative manipulation used to protect reputations at the expense of transparency. Pastor Ray builds on this by addressing the emotional and spiritual toll of such manipulations on followers, particularly those who grew up within these systems. Everett and Pastor Ray, Diverging Styles, Unified Goals 1. Methodological differences. Everett uses a more journalistic approach, presenting allegations with supporting evidence and encouraging viewers to draw their conclusions. His tone, while critical, remains measured and respectful. Pastor Ray, in contrast, adopts a prophetic and confrontational style, using vivid language and personal anecdotes to drive home his points. His rhetoric is often provocative, aiming to elicit a visceral response from his audience. 2. Complementary strengths. Everett's analytical style appeals to viewers who value a calm, evidence-based approach to critique, while Pastor Ray's emotional delivery resonates with those seeking passionate advocacy against injustice. Together, their voices offer a comprehensive critique of institutional failures, combining reasoned analysis with moral urgency. Key takeaways and call to action. 1. Lessons for religious institutions. Accountability as a core value. Both Everett and Pastor Ray emphasize the need for transparent leadership and systems that prioritize ethical behavior over personal gain. Rejection of false authority. Their critiques challenge followers to discern between genuine spiritual leadership and manipulative control, urging them to hold leaders accountable. 2. Encouragement for followers' empowerment. Through awareness. By exposing the flaws in Daystar and similar organizations, Everett and Pastor Ray empower their audiences to demand better from religious institutions. Focus on biblical principles. Both emphasize a return to scriptural values, encouraging followers to reject materialism and authoritarianism in favor of humility, service, and truth. 3. Broader cultural impacts advancing conversations on spiritual abuse. Their critiques contribute to a growing movement calling for accountability in religious organizations, sparking important conversations about power dynamics and the ethical responsibilities of faith leaders. Promoting systemic change. By highlighting the systemic nature of these issues, they encourage both individuals and institutions to prioritize reform. Conclusion. A unified vision for reform. Everett and Pastor Ray, through their respective platforms, offer powerful critiques of the failings within Christian organizations like Daystar. While their styles differ, their messages converge on the need for accountability, transparency, and a return to the core values of Christianity. Their voices, one analytical and the other prophetic, serve as complementary forces in the fight for integrity and justice within the church. Their critiques challenge us all to reflect on the state of modern religious institutions and to take an active role in fostering environments that uphold the true spirit of faith, humility, service, and unwavering commitment to truth.